First of all, the hot takes episode that I did last week was a first for me. I never just talk about topics. I usually have a topic picked out and particular subjects within that topic that I did. But I don't know, I guess it was on a roll and got the urgent. So I guess it was something I needed to do and just talk about a lot of different things, a hodgepodge. It kind of took me, it gave me a little refreshing thing to do. So I just wanted to make sure that I covered that. Sometimes I have my squirrel moments. I used to be a corporate trainer, and God bless those people's heart. I used to just sit there and talk, and a lot of times I would ramble, and they called it my squirrel moments, like the dog from what is that? Up. Oh, from Up, where the dog is talking about something and he's easily distracted and goes squirrel. So I actually squirreled on last week's episode or week before last episode, but I am on topic again today. I am on topic today. I just want to once again put out a reminder that Rel, who was my last guest that I had on the show, 989 Day in Saginaw, Michigan, my hometown. Rel is had it approved by the city council and the mayor. The proclamation was approved. So Saginaw on September 8th, 989 Day for the area code 989, Saginaw, my hometown. I'm not there anymore, but still, hopefully I'll probably get a chance to hopefully I get a chance to run up there and celebrate 989 Day. If not, I could try to fund it and support it in some kind of way. Not totally fund it, but donate and support some kind of way. I don't have that much money. I'm still working. I'm in corporate America, which is, that's my bread and butter. That's how I keep the roof over my head and keep the painting on the wall behind me. So this is not my bread and butter. I'm not monetized, but I want to make sure I throw that out there. Now, as always, as I'm starting to do, why do I have the name of Dick and Conversation podcast? It is because I used to be a traditional wife. I was an at-home mom, what I call a trad wife, traditional wife, whatever. And I lived under my husband's support. He took care of me pretty much 100% and the kids 100%. But at a particular time, he fell in love with me, fell in love with someone else. It happens every day. I keep telling people that happens every day. It's just sometimes people decide to thug it out and stay in the marriage. And I didn't. Yeah, this ain't working. You didn't just cheat, bruh. You had an affair. So when I left, if you're living hand to mouth, you have to start all over again. I had to start all over again. Like I had a furniture set, a TV, a raggedy little dinette set, and start all over. I did not have a bed because I was not taking the bed that was in the house because it had been used, not just by me. So I'll get into that later in a minute. So I had to start all over again. And as I started all over again with my twins in tow, I began to, my life began to start all over and change. And I began to amass everything that I had lost. My career took off and flourished. And it's been that way ever since. I just recently got another promotion. Yay, me. And I think that's probably like my sixth promotion I've had since I left. But things took off and I decided to date once again, see what was out there because I'm still a proponent for marriage, still a proponent for love, still very much a proponent for partnership. And I began to date again, but they did not work out whether I chose to leave or they chose to leave. We just discovered we weren't each other's person. I never took a loss. So whatever relationship after my marriage, I didn't take a loss. Everything still was intact. And I discovered when those relationships didn't work, as long as I took care of me, the only thing I lost from those failed datings, relationships, whatever it was their dick and conversation. And that is my message to young girls and some of us old women who still trying to learn this. Don't have a man so embedded in your life that once he decides to leave or you decide to leave, that you have to start all over again and take a loss. All you should really lose is dick and conversation. Make sure you're always good mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually. Stay close to God because He stay close to you. The water. And then you should be good. And those are the only two things you lose: dick and conversation. So that's where the name comes from. Yeah. Which I've discovered has become quite catchy. I had a great, first of all, it was my birthday week. I turned 53 last Wednesday. yay to me. I'm 53. I'm the nickel tray. And I never felt like I never thought 53 would feel like this. Like I thought 53 was old. We were young, 50 old. But 53, I basically still feel 27, 25, 28, something like that. That back and that knee down. But overall, I do. But it was my birthday week. And like I stated in other episodes, I'm a commuter. I work here. I live home, work from home some days, and then there are other days where I have to drive to the headquarters of where I live, which is about an hour away. Um, and I get an opportunity to listen to morning shows or podcasts or audiobooks as I drive to and from work. So in the mornings, my my sound of choice is the Breakfast Club, which millions of other people are. And this week was the week where they went live on Netflix. And Wednesday, especially because it was my birthday, they had Young Jeezy. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeezy on there, and I just love to hear that man talk. It's his voice. It's the manliness. It's just that I don't know how to describe it. It's grit. And I finished his book. I did his audiobook, Adversity for Sale. So Jeezy, excellent, excellent, excellent book. But he was on that Wednesday, and I called all week trying to get through. But on Friday, freaking Friday, this happened, and I want you all to see this.
At some point, I've met all of you individually. Envy, I met you at the Detroit car show you had here a few years ago.
Okay.
And my son was trying to talk about going to college, and he was talking Howard. You said, Mama, Hampton is good too.
That's right. Where did he go?
My son became an auto tech.
Okay, trade school. I ain't mad at it.
Why you call that little boy mama?
You know what? He didn't even do trade school. He did a program where he did 2 years and 10 months and got all 8 certifications. So thank you.
I love that. And you know, the crazy thing with these cars, all these cars break down, and if he knows how to work on the car, connect that computer to that car and find out what's wrong with it and be able to fix that, he'll always have a job.
Yep, he's going for his EV certification. And so thank you for that. Charlamagne, I met you a few weeks ago at the Black Effect Podcast Network. I did the meet and greet.
Oh,
and I had told you about my podcast name, and you looked at me kind of crazy. It was the Dick and Conversation podcast.
I remember the Dick and we on the air?
Yes. No.
Oh, the Dick and Conversation podcast. How could I ever forget that name?
Well, thank you, Charlamagne. But after I explained where it came from, you said that's hard. That's hard.
I'm talking about the dick.
Wow.
No.
Boys.
Freaking Friday!
Well, Charlamagne, I'm here to tell you, I've done the research. All of them don't get that hard.
Damn.
Oh, wow. She said she done the research.
I'll take your word for it, man.
Okay. But I mean, that's what happens after divorce. Like you all did Gail King the other day, and I had the exact same situation as Gail. Not the exact.
No, your man was sleeping with another woman in your house.
In your house?
He had one. Oh, good morning, Lauren. I didn't know you're still in there.
Hey, good morning.
She had been in our house. I started finding her hair in our shower. She later told me she had been in our bed. Told me what was in my laundry clothes basket, what kind of sheets I had. He later had a baby by her, and I paid child support to him, not for that kid, but for our children. And I was paying him child support, and he had a kid. So essentially, indirectly, I was paying child support to that kid.
You was paying him child support? How'd that happen?
Because in the state of Michigan, when you have a divorce, they don't care who's at fault with what. They feel the children should not suffer. And at the time of our divorce, when he was unemployed and I had to pay.
Wow.
Because I was
still married. Wow.
Because we were still married.
Damn. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yes. At some point, I've met all of you individually.
So that was me on the Breakfast Club on Netflix, where I got a chance to call in. And originally I called in because I wanted to thank them for having a great birthday week, because this was their first week going live on Netflix. and we're having Jeezy on there, of course. But it ended up going into that part of the conversation. And there was more after that. So if you really want to hear the entire call, listen to Netflix, The Breakfast Club, and listen to the episode that was this past Friday, which was June the 5th. So if you really want to hear the entire call, what happened after that, because Charlamagne and Lauren and DJ Envy were absolutely funny. But that's what I did want to talk about today. How did I end up paying child support? How did I feel about this woman being in our home? And what happened, how this whole little situation transpired. Like I said, Gayle King had revealed about how her marriage fell apart and coming home, finding her husband's mistress in the house with the children, and the nanny was there, and how he tried to look out for the mistress, asking Gayle not to call the husband and reveal about the affair, and how she was just stunned to find out that this woman was in her home. Now, I have to give this disclaimer. I never actually found my husband's mistress, as I call her, baby mama, in the house. But I found evidence. And a lot of times she intentionally was giving me evidence and later told it. Here's the thing. I had talked to her. Actually, we had several conversations over the phone. That one in person when I went on the job. So yes, I did show up on her job trying to fight her and jump bad. But I didn't go to jail. So that's a good thing. But she later told me she was trying to give me hints of her existence, and I was just missing it or just in denial of what it is that was going on. But the hints were, as I said on the Breakfast Club, I was finding her hair in the shower. Now, as you see, I'm a fake hair participant. I don't mind wearing fake hair. Hair that's not mine. Well, this is real hair. It's just not my real hair. But at that time, I remember there was long hair. It was long, and the hair that I was finding in our shower was obviously not mine. It was long. It was fine. It was a different color, and there wasn't mine. So I had asked him about the hair found in the shower, and he was like, "You're the only person in here wearing fake hair. It has to be yours." Now looking back on it, ain't no way on God's green earth that was my hair. But when I found out the truth, I was like, "Oh, that was her hair. That was her hair." Wow. So that in itself was kind of like, you got to be kidding me. It was, you had that much gall, that much audacity to actually not only come into my home, but to actually be in our home, to actually participate in sex with my husband, and then on top of that, you showered. So that was pretty kind of distressing at the time. And also, like I said in the episode, she stated how she had been in our bed. She could describe the sheets that were on my bed, and she could tell me what was in my laundry clothes basket. And I remember having this conversation with her, and she said, "Yeah, on top of your laundry clothes basket, you have a pink bra and a black bra. They're like different kind of bras." And I was like, "Yeah, I spend good money on my bras." I literally went and pulled the lid off of the laundry clothes basket, and on the very top was a pink bra and a black bra, which meant she had been there within the last 24 hours for her to be able to tell me what was in my laundry clothes basket. So yes, my ex-husband had brought her in our home, and that is the reason why I had to start all over and I didn't have a bed to sleep in. Now, to give this also, my ex-husband is by far the biggest supporter of my podcast. He's been on here as my guest a couple of times. We've talked about some of the things, and I think we talk maybe 3-4 times a week. He truly is my biggest supporter. So when he heard me on the Breakfast Club, he texted me and said, "Hey, look like you're coming up with the podcast. Good job. I'm proud of you." I asked him if he would be bothered about me telling him about paying child support and having his baby mama, baby mama. I'm saying it now because I'm being recorded. I have another name for it. But his baby mama in the house. And he was like, "No, it's true. Tell it." So he didn't mind that I was on the Breakfast Club and Netflix nationally, globally, telling our past history. and that I'm telling it now. But he had, and I do want to say that this was several years ago. We've been divorced now for about 14 years, so it's all old. I'm not bitter about, but I ain't forgot it though. I ain't forgot this stuff. I'm just not bitter about it. Like I used to be. That's what forgiveness is. I've forgiven him for the things that he's done because it doesn't consume me. Life moved on, and my life has been better, truly better, ever since the divorce. Water. So, um, she did tell about being in the bed and things like that, and I was just like, I'm not. There's no way in hell I'm taking this bed. I'm not sleeping in the bed, and you had her booty juice in our bed. You've had this woman in our bed, and later on end up having a kid with her. So when I speak about woman empowerment, that no woman should ever be in a position where she don't have a place to lay her head if things go south, that is the reason why I did not have a place to lay my head, because even laying her head there, so that's why I didn't have a bed. And my parents had to buy me one, which is crazy. I was in my mid 30s, excuse me, and my parents had to buy me a bed to sleep in because I was not taking that bed. And the funny part is, that bed he had purchased for my birthday. You got her my birthday bed? So disgusting. No respect, no decency, none. But yeah, that is the reason why I didn't have one. So telling that on the Breakfast Club, that it reminded me of what Gail went through when Gail was saying this woman had been in her home. I also too had also had a woman in our home, and Gail was saying how the kids were familiar with it. That was the same thing. That's why I always say there is a difference between cheating and an affair. My ex-husband had an affair. He didn't just cheat. Cheat is like, okay, a little jump off, a little fleshly desire, as my mama called it, a little sinful fleshly desire. No, that was cheating. It was where you were beginning to have our children around her children and have our children around her and have her in our home and merging ideas and thoughts and beliefs and feelings and things like that. When you are with another person outside of your marriage and you're not only engaging with them physically, but you're starting to attach to them emotionally and mentally, and you're telling them your thoughts and feelings and beliefs and dreams and hopes and desires and disappointments, that's an affair. That's, you're giving your soul, not just a physical thing. You are giving of your soul. So when I discovered it was like that, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go. And I had people reach out to me, Nikki, hey Nikki. Nikki's like, you didn't fight Scott? Yeah, Nikki, I tried. But later on, I ended up trying to fight him. Not initially, because here's what a lot of people don't. I don't know if a lot of people know this. Even after that, I stayed. I stayed after I initially found out about the affair and about her. I didn't just leave because I found out that he had cheated. It's like, oh, I'm out of here. I can't handle this. No, I stayed. I went to therapy. I was in therapy for a while, tried to make it work, and then um, at a certain point, it's like, no, I gotta go. When I found the second phone that he had hidden, cunning little joker, that he had hidden in the air filter of his truck, that's just like, yeah, I gotta go. But that wasn't the phone. I found a phone that he had in his, excuse me, he had in his pocket, and it got physical. I was the aggressor. And I did it in front of my children. And I think I've told this before in another episode, where I finally had to go. And that was a decision I made. This is no longer for me. I need to go. So that's how I end up starting over. But here's what I didn't know. Let me tell you, I had the attitude of, oh, I got these kids. I was with him for years. I gave him my career. He has a bigger earning potential than I do, because at the time when we separated and divorced, he was unemployed. He was unemployed, and I had just started working my little job, and I was so proud. I'm working at a call center, and got my little insurance. I'm starting over. Things are good, and I was still with him when I first started. But then after we separated and I moved and we going through the divorce and I'm just, I'm thinking like a lot of other women, oh, he gonna pay me child support and I even want some alimony. Oh yeah, he has a higher earning potential. He got some stuff I know he got stashed away in the bank because he's very, very financially savvy. I have to give him some access to very financially savvy, good with money. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting half. I want half everything. I want this. I walked up out of that court and them people told me I'm paying child support and I was like, how did this happen? This isn't normal. I had my lawyer and I went in and my therapist had recommended the lawyer. And I went back to him and therapist. I said, don't you tell nobody else to get that lawyer. That man was horrible. Sometimes he wouldn't show up. He was horrible. I had a horrible divorce attorney. But not my ex-husband. That one he had, she was on point. It was on point. He had the good divorce attorney because I walked out of there paying child support and I was just like, how did this happen? So this is, and it made me think of a lot of times people think that they know the law and they think like, oh, my friend went through this and oh yeah, don't worry about it. Well, my boy went through it. He might have had to pay child support, or girl, don't worry about it. He gonna have to pay your child support and yep, you can get money because you think because you watch these shows, these law shows, or you do a little Google search or you try to find out, oh, I know how this is going to work, how they're going to pay me. And you really don't. You don't. I've often told people never go to court without an attorney because there are laws you have no clue about. You think you know the law, but you don't. Lawyers go to school for several years to become efficient and well versed in legal matters. So they know about cases we have never heard of. And that's what happened to me. That's how I ended up paying child support. What I did not know was Michigan has it on their books that they don't care who cheated, they don't care who was in the wrong. If there are children involved in a marriage, somebody paying child support. So I'm thinking like I'm the mom. Like I'm the kids. I'm not paying. Wrong. So at the time when he was unemployed and we were divorcing, I had just started my little job at the call center. So I had that have that income, I had insurance and because my children were adopted, we were receiving money for the state for the adoption for little disabilities they may have had as babies that they grew out of. So I got what we call adoption subsidies every month to help cover the kids' expenses and their things that they need. So because I had that income coming in, and I was working, I had to pay child support. I left out of that. I left out of that hearing. Pissed. I gotta pay this man child. I gotta pay child support. I got the kids. How does this work? Why do I have to pay? But we had joint custody, and they pulled out according to the such and such and such an ordinance, because you're the parent. I was like, but I'm the custodial parent. I'm the one. They were like, no, you guys have joint custody. It'll be 50-50, but you're the one with the income. And you also get the adoption subsidies. So here, let's rerun that. And they slid over to another table, put that stuff in the computer. Oh, Alyssa, you'll be paying. I was done. And I paid my ex-husband child support for years. And he took it for years. And I still took care of the kids. I still paid for their private school and their Easter outfits and summer outfits and summer camps and, track and field and basketball, volleyball, uniforms for Catholic school. I still pay for everything and I still paid them child support. And as I stated on the Breakfast Club, he had a kid with his mistress. And indirectly, I'm paying child support to him. He has a kid. I'm basically paying for that kid. I'm giving child support to his kid because I'm paying for mine and he has one. And I looked it up and he wasn't even paying child support. He wasn't paying child support for the kid he had with her. I'm paying him child support. I'm paying her child support. That's so jacked up. It's so jacked up. But to my ex-husband credit, I will give him this little nugget. I know a lot of people still think that like that's effed up. That he took, yeah, it's effed up. Don't get me wrong. If I keep talking about it, I talk myself into a fit of fury, but not right now. He never went back for a modification. Like I stated, I think I just recently had my sixth promotion in my career, and he never went back for a modification to get more money from me because he did know that I was the one taking care of the children, paying for everything. Not to say we didn't go some rounds over the years, like you don't do, I'm doing everything, I'm buying all the clothes, and I'm buying, and he's like, you getting the money for it. I used to want to kill him for that. And I remember his sister-in-law was in Baltimore said, "Listen, you ain't beat the shit out of him." I said, "No, I ain't beat the shit out of him." He's like, "You ought to beat the shit out of him," but I didn't. But he never went back for a modification. Now, should he have stopped that child support way before the years he did? Yes, he should have, because he knew I was still getting hit twice. I'm paying you child support to take care of the kids, and I'm still taking care of the kids. But it's all water under the bridge now. We've moved on, and as I stated, Scott is my biggest supporter. That's my dude. What up, Scott? So I did want to touch on that, and did tell about how this woman was telling me about being in my bed and what was on my bed, the sheets on my bed. She even left little hints. At one point, she told me she was trying to make me feel her presence. Like she would put hickeys on him, and not just like regular hickeys. She would put hickeys on his chest, on his cheek, on his face. She would put scratches on his chest, scratches on his back, so that I could see that and ask, what happened. Which I did. I did see the scratches. I did see the hickey. And his explanation was, oh, the dog jumped up on me. And at that time, we had a dog, and the dog had nails. So the dog jumped up on his chest and scratching his chest. It's pretty believable. Yeah. Or, what's that on your face? It looks like a bruise. Like, oh, I was working on the car, dropped the instrument, wrench, whatever. It'll hit me in the face. That's a bruise. Highly believable. That. So her efforts to make me find out about her was like, it wasn't working. He was on the other end, baby, covering them incidents. But the one time he did come home, and I told him, I said, "You smell like you've been having this," and he just like, "You sound crazy." I said, "You smell like you've been laying up. You smell like, you know, you smell." And he was just like, "You sound crazy. I smell like that," and he laughed it off. And that's really what it was. So it got that bad where it's like, you gotta be kidding me. Looking back on it at that moment, I thought like, that's kind of odd. It's kind of strange. What? But when you are in that situation, you will excuse the signs that you're seeing until you're out of it and look back. And then what you thought you were seeing is really what you were seeing. What you thought was really was. What you thought you heard, you really did. Hindsight is 2020. It sounds cliche, but it is very, very true. After I got out of the situation and looked back, it was all there. It was all there. Just and if I probably looked back hard enough, I probably had signs that she'd been in her bed. Maybe it smelled it. I don't know, but I didn't at the time. So when I talked to him the other night, I said, "Do you mind?" He was like, "No, tell it. It's the truth. Tell it." I asked him, I was concerned about her feelings. I don't care if she feel about. I don't care if she feel bothered about me telling about her laying in the bed. Like I said, I had several conversations with her, and at one point I even told her, "You have daughters. What are you exhibiting for your daughters? What are you showing them? Because I want my daughter to know she's supposed to be the only one in her marriage, not accepting." But here is neither here nor there. I do love their daughter. That's my girl. That's Gigi's baby. So there are ways where you can actually move past the hurt, the thing that you thought that would take you out. You can move past it. I was very accepting and love that daughter, love their daughter. Those are my kids' sister. I love her. She calls me Gigi. I call her Gigi's baby. But bringing it up on the Breakfast Club, I was like, I gotta talk on this. One last thing. When I said I did the research, I mean, when you come out of a divorce, not everybody, but me, and I know one other person that comes to mind immediately, you are in a tailspin because you made this vow, you signed this contract, you plan to be with this person for your entire life, and then when it falls apart, you have to reshape your identity of who you are and what you want and the things you can do and can't do and things like that. And I went into what I call my little wild child phase, my dating phase, because my ex-husband was my second boyfriend. So I married him and I didn't date a lot. But oh baby, after that divorce, I did all the dating that I didn't do before I got married. It wasn't a whole lot. Like my body count ain't like in the hundreds or in the 20s or 30s or nothing like that. But it ended up getting double digits. So when I say I did the research, I did the research. Yeah, try to see what's out there. I was in the dating pool. And as Larissa says, piss in it. I jumped back in the dating pool. And I can attest that no, there are men in their 40s, 50s, which is my demographic, or in the 30s, that have ED. They have erectile dysfunction. That upright organ just don't play like it used to. So when I said that I've done the research and all of them don't get that hard, that's true. Because if you haven't dealt with it, you may deal with it later on. Like I said, I just turned 53. And I know there are men in my age group that's their thing that they're dealing with now, The old tool don't tool like it used to. The hammer don't hit hard like it used to. They don't, The hammer is not busting blocks like it used to. But that's my research. I found out. I went to my little tailspin and was like, okay, let's see how that thing swang. Okay, let's see what this do. Okay, okay. I told somebody not too long ago, it was my mom, that during that time when I was in a bad space after my divorce and I was in my little, wow, I guess old days, whatever it is, that a fully charged phone, a full tank of gas, and 2 hours of free time, I would do some damage. So I got a little young fella that now try to, he say, shoot his shot. Like, you missed that. I'm sorry, baby. You missed that era. You missed the era when I was testing cubs and seeing, hey, what's up? Well, okay, you holler at me, I holler at you. Now I'm a little older, a little more settled, a lot more settled, a lot more older. I'm not just as willing to I'm not as much into the research as I once used to be. I let go of the research and development Dixon conversations. However, there's always research to be done, and I may later on get back into that field. Who knows? But I did want to touch on this and share. If you heard that on the Breakfast Club, yes, that was me. I'm the Elissa from Dick and Conversation Podcast that Charlemagne met and remembered. I also met Miss Bishop after that. Miss Bishop, I've been trying to get in touch with you. It's a fine line because at the Like I Say Podcast Network, she said, we'll connect. So it's a fine line, and I'm trying to figure out the balance of I'm trying to get in touch with you without appearing to be this stalkerish, thirsty podcaster that's stalking this woman. So, Ms. Bishop, if you happen to catch this, I would love to connect with you. But I wanted to touch on it because I was on the Breakfast Club, and who knows, I may be on there again and on the subject matter. God knows I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot. But once again, thank you for listening and joining me on the Dick and Conversation Podcast. I'm Elissa. Once again, you can always hear me on Amazon, iHeart, Pandora, Spotify, and watch me on YouTube. And if your Spotify has it is able to see the video, you can see me on Spotify as well. My socials are Dick and Conversation Podcast Facebook page. My channel is on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Dick and Conversation Podcast channel. My Instagram is Dick and Conversation _podcast. My TikTok is Dick and Conversation Podcast. My email, you can reach me at dickandconvo@gmail.com. And my blue sky is dickandconvo.bsky.social. Oh, Threads. I'm on Threads. On Threads, like Instagram, it is Dick and Conversation _podcast. Until next time, this is Elissa. And if you haven't heard The Breakfast Club on Netflix, go back and listen to the entire call. Until next time.